Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Amy from Polyreader. So today I am doing the mid-year booktube tag, I believe it's called. Let me just double check. I was tagged by Rene from Rene Pierre on booktube. I will link him down below. It's actually kind of funny. Last time I filmed a video and I mentioned Rene, I actually told you all that he was from Perth, which he is not from Perth. He is from Adelaide. So that's kind of awkward. And I also forgot to tag him in the video too, so I'm feeling a bit dorky about all of that. So I'm sorry, Rene. We have been in touch since then and I have apologized. I am going to do a mid-year wrap-up. I'm going to wait until I've finished the 2 books that I'm currently reading, because I do think I will finish them before the end of the month. It's still the 29th as I'm filming this today. And I have a feeling that maybe one of them will be in my best books of the year so far. So I'm going to film one of those videos maybe next week. But for now I might just get cracking into the booktube tag video, mid-year booktube tag video. So question number 1 is the best book you've read so far in 2018. And I'm sure no one will be surprised, but that would be Eggshell Skull by Bree Lee. This book, I haven't reviewed this on the channel yet, but I will. So I'm not going to review it right now, but this is the best book I've read this year, and I don't think anything else is going to top it. This is definitely just, you know what, I'm not even sure how to wrap it up. I'm not sure how to use the right words to get across just how much this book meant to me and how important it is with current events happening around the world, and especially in Australia right now. It's come at the perfect time. It's sad that a book like this needs to be written, but it does, and Bree has done an amazing job of telling her story and connecting with other women around the world. Yeah, and that's all I have to say about it right now, but this is the best book I've read so far this year. The best sequel I've read so far this year, well, I've only read one sequel. I'm not really a series reader, other than the MC Beaton series, which I love, and the Harry Potter series. Obviously, I grew up with that. And I grew up with other series as a kid, but these days I really don't read that many series books. The only one I have so far is The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and The Girl Who Played with Fire. So I read those 2 this year, so that's obviously the best one, as it's the only one I've read. But I must say The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo was much better, I think, than the second. The second one I only gave 3 stars, so that's my answer to that question. Question number 3 is new release that I haven't read yet but want to read, and that would be Flames by Robbie Arnott. I've spoken about this before. I'm doing a buddy read with Rene for this book. So yeah, I love the cover so much. I've said that before too, but this looks like a really good quality book and I'm really looking forward to it. So as soon as the Women's Challenge is over, this is my most anticipated read of the year. Most anticipated release of the second half of the year. That is definitely going to be Beautiful Revolutionary, which hasn't been released yet, by Laura Elizabeth Willett. I've just finished last month The Love of a Bad Man, which was her first fiction book. It was a collection of short stories. I've done a review of that in one of my last videos. I think it was my May wrap-up. So Beautiful Revolutionary is her new fiction book coming out. It just looks right up my alley. The cover is beautiful, as you can probably see. You'd be surprised how many I edit out of these videos. It's a really bad habit. I'm trying to get out of it. Okay, so a little bit of information about Beautiful Revolutionary, as most of you probably don't know about it yet. It's the thrilling new novel inspired by Jim Jones's People's Temple from the author of The Love of a Bad Man, as I just mentioned. Following her conscientious objector husband Lenny to the rural Eden of Evergreen Valley, California, Evelyn wants to be happy with their new life. Yet as the world is rocketed by warfare and political assassinations, by radical discrimination and social upheaval, she finds herself disillusioned with Lenny's passive ways and anxious for a savior. Enter the Reverend Jim Jones. So, oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this book. I'm really, really looking forward to getting a copy of that. Biggest disappointment this year so far. I feel really bad saying this because it really was something I was looking forward to reading, and this is a book that got so much praise all over social media, all over BookTube. Actually, a couple of my favorite writers have rated it 5 stars, and I just thought it was a pretty average book, and that is I'll Be Gone in the Dark. I'm sure most of you know about this book. It's probably the most popular book in the Western world at the moment. They've now captured the Golden State Killer, so this book got even more attention when that happened, which is, you know, I think the story of how the book was published by Patton Oswalt after his wife had passed away is a really beautiful story, and that really touched me, and I was looking forward to getting into it because of that and a few other reasons. I mean, I love true crime, so I was super excited to read it, and I really just found the writing style quite boring, quite average, and it wasn't really engaging. I got bored a few times throughout. It was very graphic, and I usually don't have a problem with that, but I felt like that was the only thing that was quite pursuing as, you know, the book went along. I'm not really sure how to explain it. I just didn't think it was a great book. I just thought, you know, I think she did an amazing job of investigating, and I think, you know, anyone who spends that much time that much of their lives finding answers or trying to find answers for something is obviously going to be completely absorbed in that story, and I think because of that she found it difficult to write. I'm not sure what I'm trying to say here, but I guess my few favorite true crime books are written by Helen Garner and Truman Capote, and you just can't beat the best. So maybe that's why, because I'm comparing her to such renowned writers. Yes, so I do feel guilty saying that because of the story and because of her passing and all of that, but I just didn't find it very good. The biggest surprise for me this year has actually been The Lost Flowers of Alice Hart, and it's a surprise in a bad way because I was really looking forward to this book and I really enjoyed the first half, and then during the second part of the book I just wasn't interested anymore. It lost momentum, the story got quite bland, a lot of characters were introduced, they were all very, excuse the pun, but floral, and they're literally named after flowers, but no, the writing was quite floral and cutesy, and I guess that's just not my style. So yeah, I did get quite bored and eventually had to put that down and just DNF'd that book. So I was quite surprised about that. I thought it was going to be one of my favourite reads of the year. So question number 7 is favourite new author, and mine would have to be Maggie O'Farrell. I listened to Maggie O'Farrell's memoir on audio, and that was I Am, 17 Brushes with Death, and it was just phenomenal, and I cried a lot. A lot of the stories really hit close to home. It was just so beautifully written, and she even articulated it so well because she read the book herself on audio. And I immediately wanted to read some of her fiction, so I'm really looking forward to This Must Be the Place, which is a book I found at an op shop recently, a secondhand shop. Yeah, and I think she's definitely my new favourite author this year. Although I have read a lot of authors that I've fallen in love with this year, like MC Beaton, Bree Lee. That's all I can think of off the top of my head, but I'm sure that Maggie O'Farrell is going to be one of my new favourites, her fiction and her non-fiction. So yeah. Question number 8 is new fictional crush, and that would have to be Agatha Raisin. That was just such a great book, and actually Agatha Raisin and also Mary Blackwood of We Have Always Lived in the Castle, also known as Mary Cat, which is what her family calls her. I love that character. It's written from her perspective. We've always lived in the castle, and I'm just really, really enjoying her morbid, isolated personality type. It's right up my alley. So they're my two fictional crushes at the moment. Question number 9. Newest favourite character. Well, that question is kind of the same, isn't it? It's just a bit gendered. I mean, I suppose you're supposed to pick one as your favourite and one as your crush, like as you would a friend and someone, yeah. Anyway, I think I'm going to keep it as the same as the answer before because they're both my new favourite fictional characters / crushes, I guess. Book that made you cry. Well, a lot of books have made me cry this year. I've read a lot of emotional books this year. It's been quite the ride. So, Eggshell Skull, The Trauma Cleaner, I Am by Maggie O'Farrell, and Now We Have Everything, on Motherhood Before I Was Ready. What else? Golly. I think I've cried in like 50% of the books I've read this year so far. So, yeah, there's too many to list. And a book that made you happy. Well, there's really only been one book that made me happy this year, and that would be Agatha Raisin and the Key to Death. And even though it has quite the morbid title, it is an enjoyable, cozy book, and it has a reasonably happy ending. So yeah, that's the happy book for me this year so far. Favorite book to film adaptation. Well, interestingly, the only book I've read this year that has also been turned into a film is Eat, Pray, Love. I read that book when I went to Bali because a third of it is set in Indonesia, and partially in Ubud where I was actually staying. So it was quite the perfect choice to read while I was there. I have seen the film, but it was a long time ago, and that turned me off reading the book, to be honest. But the book is 100 times better than the film, so yeah, I haven't watched any films this year that have been... You know what? The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is also a film, but I haven't watched the film because I think it's too fresh in my memory, and I like to have a bit of space between the two. And I think Agatha Raisin has been turned into a mini-series as well, so that's another interesting one, but I also, again, haven't seen it. Favourite booktube video you've done this year? Honestly, my booktube videos aren't that great. I'm still getting used to the whole thing, but I probably would have to say my first one, Australian Female Writers, mostly because that is where I generally want to go with this channel, and it went quite well. A lot of people seem to enjoy it, and I feel like I just spoke about the things that I enjoyed reading and loved to read, and shared some things with you guys that I think needed to be shared. So that's probably my favourite video so far. Hopefully most of my videos will sort of lean towards that direction in future anyway. But yeah, that's probably my favourite one. Most beautiful book you've bought this year so far or received? That would have to be The Lost Flowers of Alice Hart. The cover of that book is so beautiful. I really, really love that cover. Oh my god, my dog. Dawn, what are you doing? You're in the way. The cover is so beautiful. It's by Edith Riwa, who's one of my favourite Australian artists. I've mentioned this before. I don't actually own a copy of the book, and I really wanted to purchase one purely because of the cover. But now, knowing that I didn't love the book that much, I'm probably not going to. But I'll pop a little picture of it here so you can see just how beautiful the cover is. It perfectly resonates with what the book is, to be honest. I mean, like I said, it's quite a flowery book. There are flowers, descriptions of a new flower in every single chapter at the beginning, and a lot of the names in the book are named after flowers as well, the characters, sorry. So it does work well. And the last question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? This is too big of a question to answer. I have a fair few books to read that I've promised myself I would read for the Australian, the Reading Women's Challenge. I've got a list, which I've actually read out in a previous video. Don't wander in the way. But my list of things that I need to read is out of control, and I need to I think having that list is overwhelming, and I think as a mood reader and as someone who really needs to just see how I'm feeling before I pick up a book, I think having a restrictive list isn't good for me. So I just like to always have lots of books in the house that I haven't read before that I can easily pick from, and I find I enjoy reading much more that way. So yeah, that is it. I guess I've answered all the questions. Hopefully this video turns out okay, because I haven't had a look at it on the back. I will see you guys soon with my mid-year wrap-up, my top books of the year, and yeah, I look forward to chatting to you down below in the comments. Thanks again for watching, guys. Speak to you soon. Bye. What are you doing?